Well, we got the confirmation today. They did the MRI on Kirk and confirmed the worst fears. It's the Achilles. It's a tear, and he's out for the season. So that's that's it for that. Obviously, seeing some of the post game stuff, you know, after the game yesterday, it's like all the player you could tell everybody was just completely devastated in that post game locker room. Even the video, even like the post game speech that the Vikings social media team will put up after wins. Even that was just really muted. It wasn't, it didn't feel like, hey, we just got a big road win over a rival. It was very somber, and it sucks, man. This is the worst case scenario. I mean, they would have almost been better off having this. If it's got to happen, you'd almost rather it happen like real early in the season. But so I guess O'Connell did not commit to a starting quarterback next week for the Atlanta game. I mean, it's going to be Jaron Hall. I mean, I'd be shocked if it's not. The only other guy on the active roster who's be available is Sean Mannion. I literally will not watch a Vikings game started by Sean Mannion. There's no point. There is no point. He must never start. I don't care. I don't even care if Jaron Hall is atrocious. I would rather see him out there than Sean Mannion. And Nick Mullins, he's on IR right now. I don't know when exactly he would be back. I think he had a back injury, so you never know with something like that. So what do you do? What do we do? Obviously, like there's people are going right back to let's just tank the rest of the season. No, no, no. I'm sorry. You don't just. I refuse to go down that road. I refuse to go down that road of just give up. And I know they're not going to give up. This is obviously the worst thing there's no player who's worse to lose. I mean, people thought it was bad when we lost Jefferson. This is way worse. And hell, Kirk had arguably his two best games without Jefferson. So what do you do? And I don't know what they're going to do. I would be shocked if they don't bring in some veteran. Obviously, the trade deadline is tomorrow. There's every name. It's been about 24 hours since the game. Every name imaginable has been brought up by somebody. From just trade acquisition possibilities to free agents who are still out there to maybe ideas that could be more of a long-term thing to just absurdities like, I'm sorry, they're not bringing in Tom Brady. It's not going to happen. Like, I think I don't think they're going to make like a big trade. I would be really, really surprised if they made some big trade. And I don't know what big trade you could really make because some people brought up Kyler Murray. I mean, the knock on him is that he doesn't really study the fucking playbook. What are you going to do when you bring him in? You think he's gonna pick up your playbook quickly and be of use to you this year? Now that could be a long-term thing, but I don't want any part of him. And then there's just like people bringing up like Andy Dalton, who you'd have to trade for. I mean, there's a bunch of guys out there that you would have to trade for, but I mean, like even like just as an example, Dalton, is Carolina going to want to give up their veteran mentor for their number one draft pick in the middle of his rookie season? I suppose they would if you really overpaid for him, but I mean, like you're not going to trade something huge for Andy Dalton mid-season. You better not. I mean, everyone goes back to the Sam Bradford trade. That was obviously different timing. And ultimately that was a mistake because Bradford just couldn't stay healthy. But I mean, Bradford was pretty damn good when he was healthy and on the field. But and even there, he took him a few weeks to get up to speed. you know, obviously the obvious name I think is Colt McCoy because he was in here. He was in for a workout. I must have been when Mullins was hurt and was going to go on IR. Um, they didn't sign him. They signed Sean Mannion. I don't remember if it was exactly the same week or whatever, but you know, that would be the name. That would be the obvious name. You know, I don't know. I don't know that there's anybody out there like you could trade for that would be good. I mean, if you could get Andy Dalton for a seventh round pick or something, sure. Like, you know, I think he's okay. He can come in. He could uh, he could be all right for you. There's a couple other guys, um, but you know, again, whoever you trade for, it's going to be a few weeks before they can even play. It's just this isn't like trading for Cam Akers and you can just stick him out there. It just doesn't work that way. But yeah, I mean, I would think like a Colt McCoy would be an option just because he's already a free agent. You don't have to give up any draft capital for him. They had him in here, so and now they didn't sign him. I don't know if maybe he wanted more money. Maybe he was still holding out for some sort of better opportunity. Well, this is a better opportunity for him now because he would have a chance maybe to still start some games. And then there's some other free agent names out there like Carson Wentz and Nick Foles, and you know, there's just not, you know, I mean, it's the middle of an NFL season. You aren't going to have great options sitting out there. Um, so you know, I think they'll bring in like a Colt McCoy type, you know, some veteran to. I mean, you're going to have to bring in a quarterback anyway because Mullins, you're only going to have two quarterbacks probably this week, even on the roster at this point, unless you bring in someone else in. So, and maybe I was just going through the denial stage last night, but the more I was thinking about it, the more I'm like, maybe Jaron Hall can be good. Who's to say that Jaron Hall can't like summon his inner Brock Purdy for half a season and keep this thing competitive and keep this season competitive? I mean, I know Brock Purdy got all the attention because they always give the quarterback the attention, but obviously the 49ers defense, running game, skill players had probably as much or more to do with it, with the 49ers success last year than Purdy. But, look what happened in the NFC Championship game. They didn't have him and they got absolutely killed. So, can Jaron Hall be that kind of caretaker type of quarterback with, he can run around a little bit and, we have a lot of talent on the offense that could help him. It's why people are like, oh, if you're bringing a rookie quarterback, well, look at what they'll be coming into. They got all these players. Well, okay, let's see if that's what happens with Jaron Hall. I thought the fact that they even tried to throw a few passes at the end of the game yesterday showed that maybe they do think something of Jaron Hall already, that maybe he, maybe they'll, maybe they can try to do something with him. And obviously he would not be the guy if Mullins was here or if Mullins was healthy. I suppose if Mullins gets healthy, then he might have a chance, but we've seen the term game manager gets just trashed, but I mean, sometimes that's all you need. This defense has gotten much better. We've got great receivers, especially once we get JJ back. Excellent tight end, very good offensive line. I mean, it can happen. We've seen it. We've seen guys step in and play well. I mean, Case Keenum as an example, very recent example with the Vikings. Now he had some experience of actually playing, and he was a better college player, a very good college player. But and obviously that team was more led by the defense. People always talk about Case Keenum. He didn't have to do that much. We ran the ball really well. We had good receivers, good defense. I hate the notion of like, oh, the season's over. It's not. It doesn't have to be. Um, Now, can this team go to a Super Bowl with Jaron Hall at the quarterback? No, I mean, it's realistically, that's just pie in the sky crap. Like, there's no way. But I don't believe in just giving up on the season, even with this. And this has just been a season where it's like we're just getting lashed constantly. Even when we have good things happen, it's just like, okay, now here's the bad thing again. We're gonna lose Justin Jefferson. We're gonna lose Marcus Davenport. We're gonna lose Kirk Cousins to a torn Achilles. The guy who never gets hurt, and he's gonna get hurt right when he is playing some of the best football he has ever played. It's like, how do you not believe in a curse when shit like this happens? And boy, I don't know. I mean, I'm there's at least a curiosity factor with Jaron Hall. Maybe he can go. Maybe he can go play Atlanta next week and do something. Maybe he can be okay. Like, again, you've got a schedule coming up the next several weeks. Isn't that horrible? It's not like you're trying to break in a new quarterback, and you got to face the Lions and the Bengals like we do here in December. No, you've got a little bit of, you can maybe win some of these games if you can just score 20 points. It's possible. Now, obviously, we haven't seen enough of Jaron Hall to know if he's like a turnover machine. If he's a turnover machine, well, then you're worse off. But if he can be kind of a game manager type, and and just utilize the players around him, and the defense can still keep playing pretty well. Yeah, I think you could. I think you can still get in the playoffs. I think you can still even contend for the division. And maybe I'm delusional. Maybe I'm a complete maniac for even thinking that. And I'm not thinking that in terms of like, oh, I've disliked Kirk. I've been the top of the line Kirk supporter for years. I fully recognize the loss that he is. But I mean, it's next man up, and maybe that next man will be Jaron Hall, and maybe he will do something. Maybe he will show some ability. And if not, maybe Mullins, and if not, maybe some veteran at some point. I mean, can they piece this thing together? I mean, this is the big. we're gonna learn an awful lot now over the next couple months about what kind of coach Kevin O'Connell is. And it's not like if they fall apart, it's like, oh, Kevin O'Connell sucks as a coach. I mean, this is a really bad spot for any coach. And we've seen other teams lose their quarterback and just fall apart. It can happen. I'm hoping it doesn't. I'm hoping it doesn't with the Vikings. I think they have enough talent on this team that they can kind of stay afloat if whoever is behind center or under center is just okay. We're not going to be getting the numbers and the efficiency that we were getting with Kirk. We just aren't. But Ken Hall or whoever pick this thing up and kind of keep it going. And of course, it's going to be a different offense because Kirk was mostly a pocket guy, didn't get out, move around very much. I mean, Jaron Hall can run a little bit, so there's an opportunity to kind of utilize some different plays, since and if Hall's up to the task. I mean, he's older than most rookies. I mean, I think he's like 25 or something, 26. Like he's older than most rookies. Like Bryce Young's probably 4 or 5 years younger than him. I don't know. This sucks. I mean, this was an ascending team. They're up to 4-4 in a conference that is, I think, still very wide open. I mean, at this point, you got to probably put the Eagles like at the top with a gap, But I still think you could do something with this season if you can get some just solid game manager type quarterback play. So we're all going to find out real soon, if Jaren Hall can do this, and if because I think he's going to start. I think they're going to go ahead and start him against Atlanta. I believe it's the Saints at home after that. Now that one you might have to score a little more because the Saints are able to score some points, but we're gonna find out. We don't know. This thing could go very badly very quickly, and it could lead to just a miserable final 2 months of the season where it's just like a slow death. I hope that doesn't happen though. And boy, if we could, this would be quite an accomplishment if they could still get in the playoffs even after all this. You wonder what's next. I mean, you can't have any worse injuries. Like we've had the worst 2 injuries already that you could have, even if like Hunter gets hurt, or one of the tackles or something gets hurt. Like, well, it's not worse than Kirk going down, and and I mean, like Kirk will still be around. Like I'm sure he'll be right there to help Jaren Hall or whoever else. Like with the offense, I'm sure he will. I don't think he's gonna go just sit in his house. He's gonna be there. He's gonna help. But boy, you really wish this didn't have to fucking happen. So. But yeah, I wouldn't expect any major trades or like big name signings or anything. Arguably, you can make a case that maybe they should make a trade for something like on defense, because maybe you can bolster that defense a little more, because you might not be scoring many points. Maybe you can pick up a cornerback, or pick up a lineman, something. But I don't envy Kwesi this. I don't envy the position he's in, where he's got to figure this shit out. Because even if they had a plan to move on from Kirk after the year, I don't know. I don't think they were ready for this. And of course, the other thing is maybe this it could make it more likely that Kirk comes back next year, because I don't think this is the end of his career. I would be really shocked if he's not able to come back, because he's Achilles is a major injury, but you can he's not. It's not like he's a guy who runs around all the time. Like he can still if he can still move to the degree that he needs to in the pocket, he can still play. Maybe of course, he was setting himself up for a huge contract. He was probably going to be able to get one last real big contract. I don't think he's going to get that now. I mean, there might be some team that's willing to do it, but it's not even going to be like a guarantee that he's going to be really able to go at the start of next season. So, I think the cost for bringing back Kirk will be less. Now, obviously, you would need to have a plan B, whether that's the Vikings drafting a quarterback, or if Jaren Hall looks good, whatever. But, obviously, like, it'd be nice. I would hope for that Kirk would be able to come back. And we've seen quarterbacks, it has happened where quarterbacks have had these injuries and come back and played well. Doesn't mean it happens with everybody, but it's just speculation. I'm going for 20 minutes and I haven't said anything concrete, because you don't know. I mean, again, maybe I'm just in my denial phase, but I think Jaron Hall might have a chance to play decently and keep this thing going. And I hope he does. I mean, if Jaron Hall plays 9 excellent football games, or or most of them are excellent. If he channels his inner Brock Purdy for 9 games, well, maybe there's your quarterback for the future. Maybe he can play. I mean, I think that would be at this point the best case scenario for the season and beyond. But we're not. We will all start to find this out against the Falcons this week, and we're going to find out a whole lot about what this coaching staff, GM, everything, what they are really made of.